I said during that press conference last Tuesday with the governor and members of the congressional delegation that up until that moment, we had seen actual freezes of federal funding. And in fact, during that day, the Head Start portal for the state of Connecticut was frozen. Okay, so education funding was frozen. Family supports was frozen. Medicaid, the Medicaid portal was frozen on that day. People couldn't get access to Medicaid payments for the state of Connecticut. So defunding health care, defunding funding for children and education and teachers and family supports. And as we know, with their blanket funding freeze, they mean to defund the police and defund law enforcement and to make Connecticut less safe. So this order could not be more broad. Here it is again. But now we know in the last week that they continue to act in defiance of this order. At stake is more than $3 trillion in federal assistance, but we know right now, this minute, that they are still in defiance and non-compliance with this order. There's roughly $535 million in federal funding related to the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency. That includes funding awarded through programs like Solar for All, the Climate Pollution Reduction Grant Heat Pump Coalition, and the Climate Pollution Reduction Planning Grant. These are all federal programs that have been authorized by Congress pursuant to the United States Constitution and the Spending Clause. What does that mean? That means only Congress has the power to appropriate money and to authorize spending. And the executive, the president, can't unilaterally decide not to spend that money or to cut it off or to block it or to freeze it. We know right now that Connecticut DEEP, the Department of Energy and Environmental Protection, is unable to access federal funds at this very minute. And so we believe that the federal government, the Trump administration, is in non-compliance with this court order. And so we have moved in federal court in Rhode Island to enforce the terms of this restraining order. The judge, we just filed it, and the judge already entered an order that the federal government must respond by Sunday. So we will hear, because this is an emergency motion for enforcement. So in response to the emergency motion to enforce a temporary restraining order, the federal government must respond by Sunday. We also moved for a permanent injunction. So just to be clear, we have a temporary restraining order. That's something you get quickly on a temporary basis. And now we've moved for a preliminary injunction that will last longer and forestall the president and his cronies from taking the unlawful and unconstitutional action that they have taken. Speaking